So yesterday we talked about we have done the enterprise structure. Then we saw how to create a business unit, legal entity, ledger, currency, calendar, and chart of account structure. We have completed all the setups in the instance, and then we discussed about what is the multiple org structure and what is the single enterprise structure. So yesterday we have taken this example as a Tata. Under Tata we have three different business verticals, and then how the configuration, how the enterprise structure will be designed for these three different vertical industries. So today what we will do, we will discuss about procure to pay before we start the EAP. So before starting accounts payable, we just need to know what is the P2P and O2C cycle. Then it will be easy for us to understand the configuration and the EAP flows. So let me open the practice sheet as well. What is procure to pay? For example, we will take this Tata Group itself. Let's say under Tata Group, we will take Tata Motors. So Tata Motors are basically manufacturing multiple car tractors. So initially, when Tata Motors need to manufacture this car, they need to procure many materials, like they need to assemble the engine, they need to assemble the AC parts and other related parts which is required for car. For example, let us say Tata Motors purchasing team have a requirement of 10 car seat. Complete the Nexon car. Tata, the purchasing team have a requirement of 10 car seat to complete the Nexon car to complete the Nexon car. They already assembled the car. Now they need a seat. So what they will do is, since they need a car seat, purchasing team will prepare a quote. This quotation they will prepare, like they will prepare a quotation for we need a 10 purchasing team. They will prepare a quotation saying that we need a 10 quantity of car seat. Now this quotation will be converted into requisition. So for this requisition, many people will come and produce the, for example, supplier A supplier, B supplier. They will tell that I will give you for this price. Another supplier is saying that he will provide for this price. So that purchasing team will decide that based on the requirement, which supplier they want to choose. So for that supplier, they will convert the requisition to purchase order. Let's say this purchasing team is located in Chennai purchasing team. A supplier is from B supplier is from Mumbai. So they will create based on this quotation and the quality of the product. Purchasing team will decide that they will go with either A or B supplier. In our example, let us take they are going with B supplier, which is from Mumbai. They chosen the B supplier for the purchase order. So once they create a purchase order, they will purchasing team will approve this purchase order, and then this purchase order will be the purchase order copy will be given to the B supplier. So based on this purchase order, B supplier will ship the 10 quantity of the seeds and deliver it to the purchasing team. So from Mumbai, he will ship that goods and then it will reach Chennai. So when he ship the goods, he will send a document called invoice, so that we need to make a payment to that supplier. Invoice with quantity, rate is 1,100. So now once this 10 quantity of seed reached the Chennai purchasing team, they will take the delivery, they will inspect that seeds, and then they will send the AP, they will send the invoice copy to the AP team to make the payment to that supplier. So what AP team will do is AP team will create invoice, the name of B supplier, or 12,000. One second. And then if the invoice is having a payment term of immediate, they will after creating the invoice, they will request cash apps team make the payment for this 12,000. So initially what happens is the purchasing team will need have the recommend of certain products, so that they will take a quotation, they will create a requisition. With the requisition, whatever things they are getting best from the supplier, based on that they will convert that requisition into purchase order. From purchase order they will receive the goods with invoice. AP team will create that invoice, and then cash ups team will make the payment. So this is the basic overview of P2P cycle. So it starts with purchasing and ends with AP. And all the journal entries, whatever created, we'll talk about journal entries. Journal entries later. First, we'll understand the what is the overview of the P2P. So this is P2P. O2C is same process but opposite side. Like it is a sales. So these thing is totally purchasing, where we are buying the product for our manufacturing or for our any other business purpose. O2C is nothing but revenue part, what we are selling. So purchasing will be a supplier O2C will be customer. For example, we are selling a car, so we will receive an order from our customer. So let's say customer has came to our showroom and then they finalized they are going to buy Nexon car. So we are creating a sales order for that customer. Customer Mr. Kumar. This guy came to our showroom and then he test drive our Nexon car and then he is felt very happy, so he is going to buy this car. So we created a sales order. After once we create a sales order, the manufacturer we in our inventory we have this car as a finished goods. So then we will deliver that car, which is ship confirm from our location to Mr. Kumar. So this guy will come to our showroom and then he will take the car with him. Once we deliver the car to Kumar, that time we will create AR invoice to receive a cash from him. So AR team will create a AR invoice for customer Kumar for Nexon car. Let's say it is 1,50,000. Once the AR invoice is created, we will collect Cash App team will create a receipt for this particular invoice that we have sold this goods, sold the car to Kumar. A receipt, cash receipt for whatever we pay, it will be P2P. Whatever we receive, it will be O2C. So in P2P, we will create a suppliers. In O2C, we will create all our customers. In P2P, we will create an invoice and based on the payment terms, we will pay to our supplier. In O2C, we will receive, in P2P, we will receive invoice and then we will create invoice and then we will make a payment. In O2C, we will create invoice and we will give that invoice to customer and we will collect money from that customer. So this is the basic overview of P2P and O2C. Any questions? May I know who is this one? Who is this? LIV is this somebody or? Now we will talk about accounting entry in the system. At the time of requisition PO, there will not be no entry. There will not be no financial impact. So system will not create any entry. Once we receive the goods to our location, system will create accounting entry in purchasing module. It will debit inventory receiving account and credit inventory AP accrual account. Once we receive the goods, so this will be the accounting entry. at the time of deliver to our inventory org. Our material account be debited, inventory receiving will be credited. So basically this inventory receiving is nothing but a clearing account. So at the time of receiving, system creates accounting entry, and once we deliver these goods to our sub inventory, this inventory receiving gets credit. So it is a clearing account. So the debit and credit gets nullified, and the final impact is our material account is debited and then inventory AP accrual account is credited, which means that inventory AP accrual is nothing but we are accruing that expenses as of now. So whenever we create any, before creating any invoice, so we are not creating any liability in our system. Once we create the invoice, then only system will create a liability. So until that time, the balance which we need to pay to our supplier will be in inventory AP accrual account. And material account, it is nothing but a balance sheet, so it will go to our stock account. Time of invoice. Inventory AP accrual account will be debited. Supplier liability account will be credited. So one, after creating the invoice, if you see inventory AP accrual gets knocked off with our accounting entry generated earlier for receipt. Before making payment to the supplier, we purchased that material car seat from the customer, from the supplier. So this material account is nothing but car seat. So our material is car seat, and then we need to pay to the supplier, supply liability account credit. Then when we make the payment, supplier liability, then cash or bank account. If you make payment from the cash account, it will be cash account. If you make payment from the bank, it will be bank account. So after making the payment, our supply liability gets knocked off with the payment entry, and the final entry after completing all the flows, receipt, deliver, invoice, and payment, the final entry is the car seat account gets debited, and then we made a payment, so our cash or bank account gets credit. So this is the final entry. So here this inventory receiving is nothing but asset nature, a natural account, asset type, and it is a clearing account. Inventory AP accrual is a liability type, is also a clearing account. This asset type, it will go to balance sheet. The supply liability is a liability type, balance sheet item. This cash or bank is asset type, balance sheet item. So this is the type. Any questions in this accounting entries, P2P accounting entries? Okay. Now let me go to the O2C accounting entries. At the time of sales order, there will not be any entry like purchase order. So sales order will not have any financial impact. It is just a customer facing document. Will read this. At the time of release. At the time of inform. At the time of AR invoice. Time of AR receipt. At the time of pick release, our inventory sub inventory account will get debited. It is nothing but staging, which means that from this inventory staging to from this inventory, we are going to send our finished goods to our finished goods inventory, finished goods sub inventory. This will be debit finished goods inventory account. This inventory staging and finished goods is nothing but, for example, as I told earlier, Tata Motors, right? Our Tata Motors showroom is in Chennai. In the showroom, we will not manufacture anything. There will be a manufacturing plant. In the manufacturing plant only, we will manufacture everything. Based on the orders, we will get our finished goods to our showroom and then we will sell it. So this manufacturing plant is nothing but inventory staging, and this Chennai showroom is nothing but finished goods inventory. So let's say on 10th, on 27th October, customer has visited our showroom and then he liked that car and then he created a we created a sales order. So now on 27th we will tell to manufacturing plant we need a one car so that we can deliver it to the customer. Let's assume on 28th they have shipped our from manufacturing they shipped our car to Chennai location. On 29th October, we will receive that car to our Chennai showroom and then we will deliver it to our customer. So, pick release nothing but from manufacturing plant to Chennai. Ship confirm is nothing but from Chennai to customer. From Chennai showroom to customer. So that time our COGS account will get debit cost of goods sold and then FG inventory staging account. This debit and this credit gets knocked off. Once we deliver the goods to our customer, we will create invoice. So that time we are going to receive the money from our customer. So receivable account debit, revenue account credit. Once we collect money from our customer, cash, let's say we may receive in cash or bank. And this receivable debit and then this receivable credit knocked off. At the time of pick release, inventory staging account to FG inventory. At the time of ship confirm, COGS account to inventory staging. At the time of AR invoice, receivable account to revenue account. At the time of AR receipt, cash or bank account to receivable account. So this is the P2P accounting cycle, and this is the O2C accounting cycle. Any questions in this accounting entries? Okay. So as I told earlier, we will have this configuration sheet, and then with this we will go through all the setups. So now before we go to AP setups, we need to create a supplier. For that supplier only we can create a invoice and then we can make a payment. So to create a supplier, we need some access. Based on that access only, we will able to create a supplier. So to create a supplier, we need access called procurement agent. So this procurement agent access only will give you to open the supplier page. Let me go to the instance, setup and maintenance. Manage procurement agent. We are using this Tata BU. So default requisition BU will be the Tata BU. This is our username. Procurement BU is a Tata BU. And then we are giving access, like with this procurement agent username, we will able to create requisitions. Access to the agent document is full. If you provide view, this user will able to only view the requisition. He will not have access to create any requisition. So these are the controls which are having in the system. None, view, full. None means nothing. Even though we gave the access, but he will not able to do anything with that. So they have enabled We have enabled requisition, purchase order agreement, negotiation, sourcing programs, manage suppliers. So this manage suppliers and supplier qualification will give access to the supplier page. To configure the AP, these are all the three major setups. Common options for payables and procurement, configure invoice option, configure payment options. First, we will open and see what is what is there in the manage common options for payables and procurement. We will just search with manage common options for payables and procurement. So here we will choose Tata BU. Here we will enter the liability account. So in the setup, manage common options for payables and procurement. We will enter liability account, prepayment account, all the mandatory accounts. From here only, system will take the code combination for the accounting entries. So this liability account is nothing but a supply liability account. When we create an invoice, so from this setup only, system will take the liability account. Prepayment account is nothing but a supplier advance account. There are some scenarios where we will collect money from the supplier first, and then we will provide the service later, like advance. So for rental purposes, we may pay one time advance, and then finally we will get the reimbursed for that advance. So for that, it is a prepayment. So from here only, system will take the prepayment account, and then conversion rate gain. So whenever there is a fluctuation between the our ledger currency and then foreign currency, let's say our ledger currency is INR, but with the supplier which we are having is from US. So we will create invoice in INR for the exchange rate. So that time we may get exchange gain or loss. Based on that, the expenses account which we enter here, system will take the realized gain or loss account from here. Discounts. So whenever we give discount to our supplier, this is the setup where we it will take the GL accounts. If you are going to use one time payments, here we can enter the liability account and expenses account, currency conversion, realized gain and distribution loss account. So this is the mandatory account. Whatever account we are entering in the conversion rate variance gain, same thing we will enter it here as well. Accrue expense items at receipt or period end. So this is two is based on the company's policies, where whenever they create a receipt, they are going to create invoice at the time of receipt itself, or they are going to expense that at the period end. For example, there is accounting rule called for every debit there must be a corresponding credit. What is this expenses accrual is? In our scenario, we saw that we are purchasing the car seat that wherein they are going to deliver the material to us to our business, and then inventory is going to raise. But in the expenses PO, for example, uh, I am going to create a purchase order for my internet service with my vendor. Let's say it is a Airtel. So for 12 months Airtel is agreeing with me for a certain service charge. So for that I am creating a PO, but Airtel will not deliver anything to me. That is a service stream, service item. So some people they give the subscription and then I'm going to use the internet. But the expenses which I'm going to incur now, the payment which I'm going to pay it now, it will be 10,000. It is not only for particular month. It has to be accrued for each month. For 1 year, I have paid fully at the time of first month itself. So whether you are going to accrue that expenses at the time of receipt itself or at the time of period end. So this is the option where we have to choose anything based on the business requirement. And then this is to our tax compliance. We have to enter our VAT registration number and which state. So in common options, we will configure all the GL accounts for to distribute it, and then accrue expenses. Normally everyone will use at the time of at receipt. Mostly manufacturing companies will go with period end. Any questions in these common options? Okay. The next step, the next configuration is invoice options. So in invoice option, we will enter what is the invoice currency which we are going to create. If we are going to use if you are not going to give anything here, whenever we create an invoice, we have to choose the invoice currency manually in our system. If we provide any values here, system will take this one as a default value. So we don't need to change anything at the time of creating invoice. Since our operations is always on US, mostly we will get invoice for US currency. So we will choose this default value. Hold unmatched invoice. If any invoice is not matched with any PO, if you enable this, we will not able to create any invoice without a PO. Payment terms. What is the payment term we are going to use? If it is immediate, we have to choose immediate. So by default from the invoice options, whatever values we are entering it here, system will default to that particular invoice. If you want to override at the time of invoice creation, we have to override these informations. So if we choose immediate, when we create an invoice for any supplier, this will be defaulted, and then this currency will be defaulted. If you want to enable invoice approval, we have to enable this for invoice approval. If you want to create any interest invoice is nothing but whether if the supplier is not paid the amount within the payment terms. If it is 10 days payment terms, supplier is not paid on 10 before 10th day, he makes payment on 11th day. If we enable this interest invoice for 1 day, system will automatically calculate the interest, and then it will create an invoice for that particular supplier. If you enable this require attachment, whenever we create an invoice, we need to upload the attachment for that particular invoice. So in invoice options, basically we have all the options wherein to handle the our invoices. In common options, we saw how we have option to provide our accounting entries like liability, prepayment, and other GL accounts. The third setup is payment option. So these two are related to invoice related setups, and the final one is payment option. So in payment option, account for payment. When accounting entry has to be generated for payment. When at the time of payment issue or at the time of clearing, at the time of issue and clearing. See, this issue and clearing will come into picture when we are going to make a payment from the check. For example, we made a payment to our customer on 28th by check, and the check date is 29. Check issued with date 29th October. So in system, today's date is 27th. So 27th we issued a check with future date 29th. At payment issue means system will create accounting entry on 27th itself. At payment clearing means system will create accounting entry only on 29th. Our check issue with date is 29. So supplier will deposit the whenever supplier deposit the check and then he collected money from the bank, that is clearing. So that day only system will create accounting entry. At payment issue and clearing, with this means payment issue and when is issued and when it is cleared. So system will create accounting entry on issue with clearing account. On 29th it will create another account to knock off that clearing account. So this payment option have flexibility to create accounting entry at the time of payment issue or at the time of payment clearing or at the time of payment issue and clearing. Normally the best practice is they will go with third option at payment issue and clearing. In the payment accounting and overrides, they have four options like allow payment date before the system date. Let's say today's date is 27th, but at the time of payment creation I am entering date as 26th. So if I enable this option, system will not restrict me to make payment for any system payment date before the system date. If I don't enable this, I can make only payment at the system date. So system date is nothing but for this instance there will be a system date which will be configured in the application. Allow override of supplier side bank account. So supplier has provided the bank account which we defined in the supplier side, but at the time of making payment, instead of that supplier site bank account, we have to make another site bank account. So if we enable this override option, we will able to change the supplier site bank account. Document category override. So to generate the voucher number, so for every transaction there will be a voucher number like one in the sequence 1 2 3 4 5 something like that, whatever sequence which business needs to follow. So if I created any transaction wrongly, system will generate the voucher number. So we will not able to make any changes to that voucher number. So that in that time, if you enable this allow document category override, system have flexibility to change the document category so that voucher number will be restricted. Allow payee override for third party payments. There will be one time payments like uh, since if we are going to purchase with the supplier every time, we will create a supplier, but there will be some rare expenses like miscellaneous expenses. For those things we will not create any supplier. So if you enable this, we can create a payment directly to them without creating any supplier. So in payables, we have just only three setups. One is common options, another one is invoice option, another one is payable options. In common options, we will configure the common things like GL accounts, code combination, everything. In invoice option, we will configure the invoice things like what is the default invoice currency, and whether we are going to use invoice approval, all the invoice related setups. In payment option, we have all the payment related setups related to how the payment entry should be generated, and then what is the bank, whether we are going to use the bank charges also is there. So these things will be covered in the payment option. So in payables we have only these three setups. With this we will able to create any invoice to our supplier. Any questions in this? Okay, so with this I just covered the AP setups fully, and then yesterday we completed the GL setups as well. We will get overview of the cash management. Cash management is nothing but bank, which is the one module which help us to maintain our banks. So in cash management we have option to create a bank. For that bank we will have a branch and then bank accounts. So AP, when we create any invoice to our supplier, obviously we are going to make a payment from bank. So we need a bank, right? So for that only we are going to use a cash management. So for cash management, I just want to show you the cash management roles. Okay, I'll go to the system and I will show. I think there is some issue in the instance. I heard that from Suresh that this instance will be cloned today. Do you guys have any instance with you for your practice?
No.
Okay. Okay, I will go through in these screenshots. This is journals, business unit, legal entity. So after payables option, invoice option, we created a suppliers, distribution set. Yeah, manage banks. So cash management role is cash manager. So these are all the seeded roles which we need to add to our user. Once you add a cash manager role, you will get access to manage banks. So in this bank, you choose a country. This is just by seeing this, you can able to understand that how to create a bank. Like we need to enter the country name, bank name, if we have any alternate bank name, and then address. So once you created a bank, for this bank, you need to create a branch. So if you go to manage bank branches, you have to choose the bank which you created so that the country will be defaulted. Enter the branch name and then routing number is nothing but IFSC code. So in US it will be a routing number. So we just need to enter the routing number. Once you create a branch for this particular bank, we have to create a bank account. So we are going to choose the existing branch and then for that branch, we are going to create a account name and then account number, obviously currency, and then this bank account is for which legal entity. So in our case it will be a Tata legal entity. And then if you come to this side, account use, we need to choose either. We have a three options here: payables, payroll, and receivables. Payables means we are going to use this bank account for our payables, and receivable means we are going to use the same account for receivables as well. If you don't enable for payroll, we are not going to use this bank account to provide salary to our employees. And then in the account section, we are going to enter GL accounts for this particular bank account, cash and cash clearing account. If you are going to use a check payment for this bank account, we have to enter the checkbook name, and then we have to enter checkbook name prefix, and then what is the start number for this particular checkbook and what is the end number. So basically if you receive any checkbook from the bank, you will have a 20 leaf or 30 leaves with these serial numbers. So that start number and an end number we need to generate here, nothing but payment document. So in the bank account, in the cash management, to create a bank, we have these three setups only: bank, bank branch, and then bank accounts, and then payables document. So with these setups, we can create an invoice and then we can make a payment also. So what we have seen today is we saw the supplier setups and then payables configurations, like common options for payables, invoice options, and payment options. And then in the cash management, we saw the three setups, like how to create a bank, how to create a bank branch, and then how to create a bank accounts, and then how to create a payment documents as well. Any questions in this P2P cycle? Okay, so uh, we will continue Monday. I will not be available, so we will continue by Tuesday. If you guys are available on this weekend, please let me know. We can plan, or else we can continue by Tuesday for AR, FE, and CM. So we'll continue by Tuesday then, or tomorrow, tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Anyone need any session for any recap or anything or any doubts, clarifications?
Everything is fine, sir. We can have it on tomorrow.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Everything is fine, sir. We can continue tomorrow, sir. We can continue, sir. Or else Tuesday. No problem.
Okay, we'll continue by Tuesday tomorrow. You guys can recap the things which we covered as of now. Monday I will not be available. Monday I have a personal work, so Monday I will not be available. Okay then. Thank you
Then
guys.
we can
Okay.
continue with Tuesday, sir.
Continue by
Tuesday or tomorrow, sir.
yeah Tuesday 31st.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay.
Manish, I just have a couple of questions. Unfortunately, I could not join yesterday's session,
Okay.
to my horror, I find that the recording is in there. So can you just give me a quick overview as to what was done, so that I can do that myself? You can just give me a quick overview. That would be really,
Yeah.
really
So
helpful.
yesterday we talked
Hmm.
about the enterprise structure. So for
Okay.
that we have taken example of a Tata Group.
Hmm.
So Tata Group, they are in many vertical industries, right? So we have
Yeah.
taken these three horizons like fashion, retail, and motors. In
Okay.
fashion, they have a Zudio, retail, Big Basket, and then Tata Motors. So for this enterprise structure, how we are going to create in this system, we saw that. Let's say this Tata Group is having these three types of business only in India. So we have to create a legal entity. Legal entity is nothing but for Tata Group, there will be some registration number, right? Like GST, company identification number with a registered address.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
that is,
understand legal entity. Yeah.
yeah, so that is legal entity.
Yeah.
So under business unit, since Tata Group is under fashion, retail, and motors, they need to know what are all the things happening on the each side of business, correct?
Yes.
So in
Yes.
business unit, we will have Zudio, Big Basket, and Tata Motors. So they will have a three business units, and in ledger, we are going to have only one ledger because all these three business operations are going to happen only in India. In our
Right.
first example. So this is
Right.
our first example. So we
Hmm.
are going to create one ledger, and then
Hmm.
currency will be INR. Since
Hmm.
it is legal entities in India
Hmm.
geography, in
Hmm.
India we are following April to March calendar.
Fine.
So the calendar which we are going to create is April to March.
Fine.
Let's say this Tata Group is having another industry which is TCS.
Hmm.
So this TCS is not only operating in India, they are having operations across the globe. So
Hmm.
for that, we have taken only one example for TCS, which is United States, US.
Hmm.
So since this TCS having operations in US, this
Hmm.
legal entity which will not be applicable for this TCS.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
obviously we need to create another legal entity for this US entity
Correct.
corporation. Under
Correct.
that legal entity, we are going to create another BU for TCS.
Agreed.
And then if I come to ledger, this ledger is for INR, but
Yeah.
in US it will be a USD. So we are going to create
Correct.
another ledger
Yeah.
with USD currency, and then calendar which we
Different
are going to
calendar.
follow is
Agreed.
Jan to
Agreed.
December.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this is single enterprise structure with one
Hmm.
geography. This
Hmm.
is put together multi-org structure.
Correct. Agreed.
Okay. Now, if I come
Agreed.
to chart of
Hmm.
accounts is a combination of a key flex field. In key
Right.
flex field, we have a two things: accounting flex field, descriptive flex field. Accounting flex field is nothing but which will help us to capture our financial transactions. Descriptive flex field is helpful to store additional information in the system. So, accounting flex field will have value sets and segments. Value sets means, for
Yeah, I
example,
know value sets. I understand. No problem.
yeah,
Okay.
segments. So segments, why I created company cost center BU natural account is company, under company we will have two values. One is for India, another one is for US. In
Hmm.
cost center, we have indirect expenses like whether this, uh, for example, in India, Zudio has paid 1,000 rupees for telephone expenses. So that will be coming under the cost center. Business
Okay.
unit, under business unit, we will have three values. Zudio, Big Basket, Tata Motors, and then TCS as well. And then
Okay.
natural account, all our natural accounts. This future one,
Fine.
future two segment is for our future purpose. So
Fine.
this is the chart of account structure for this enterprise structure scenario.
Perfect. Okay. So, did you go ahead and create it as well yesterday?
Yeah, but we don't have I mean, this instance is not working as expected. So I already prepared my practice with all the screenshots.
Wonderful.
So we overview the screenshots and then we opened all the setups in the instance and then we did it.
Okay.
We are
So,
able to create some setups actually. We are not able to create some setups. We
oh,
created this value set segments and everything for our purpose, legal entity and then ledger. I think BU we are not able to create. There was some error in the instance.
but without BU, how will you proceed? Even for AP, you will need that BU, right?
Yeah, exactly. But what happened is this instance will get cloned by tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
So even
So
though
after
I
tomorrow,
create
we will,
this,
yeah,
yeah,
after tomorrow, we will create afresh, is it?
not fresh. Whenever we get an instance with a new clone, there will be some data, right? We will
Hmm.
open that data and then we will go one by one.
Co-
See, if this instance is not getting cloned, we can configure everything so that the
Hmm.
same, I mean, this enterprise structure we can configure and then we
Hmm.
can use the same enterprise structure for all
Hmm.
our APA or FACM and everything. Okay. If I
Hmm.
configure this, tomorrow it will get cloned. Tomorrow we will be in a payable session. How I can come and create another, all these setups once again in the GL. So for that only I was checking today whether do we have any instance without a clone. I mean, you if you guys purchased any instance for your practice purpose, if you have any instance, you can share your screen and then I will guide how to create all these setups one by one, this enterprise structure, and then you can use these things.
Okay. Can you purchase something which is not, which will not get cloned? Do you know somebody or anybody who can provide
Yeah,
it by
I
any
saw
chance?
today this guy Suresh Raja's message right in the group in WhatsApp.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yes.
that again, does that get cloned or not? That's the question.
No,
It
it
can
will not.
definitely.
I think it will not get cloned. If it get cloned, they will let us know when it will get cloned, whether they will have the backup and all. So that thing I didn't check with that contact. I think you guys can check with him.
Okay. So we will check with him. And if that happens, then I think that will help all of us. Thank you.
Yes. Even though if you are not getting any instance, with this
Hmm.
instance, what we can do is, I mean, for payables, like today we did right. Uh, this options. We will open each options one by one. Since they have already configured Tata BU, we are using the Tata BU in this instance.
Okay. And you said they who has configured it?
I'm not sure. There are
Okay,
many.
somebody
Yeah.
else has already done it, you mean? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right then.
Okay then. Thank you guys. Happy weekend.
Thank you.